Today is our budget hearing that starts at 6 o'clock. So our Director of Finance, Ryan Namer, has a presentation that he's pulled together for us to provide the information about the 2019-20 budget. So after that, we have our annual meeting that starts as soon as we're done. We have slated 6:15. So we'll have the budget presentation, and if there are any questions, you can ask him right away at that point in time, and then it moves into the annual meeting. So, thanks, Ryan.
So this is a report that I give every year, just kind of update the slides. Every number that is on here correlates to what was put in the paper on after the October 14th meeting. When we get to the board meeting after this, there's slight changes. The stuff we covered last week as a result of revenue limit changes, but everything on here correlates to what was posted publicly in the paper.
And that is in the annual meeting packet, so for everybody that came today, there's the annual meeting packet, and that would be the budget that Ryan's going to be referring to. That starts on page 15.
Yep.
I'm just going to turn that right over to you.
Let's go to the next slide. Just some basic background, review of financial terms. The Wisconsin school system uses a fund accounting system known as WIFAR. It allows schools to separate revenues and expenses for different purposes, mostly into separate funds such as the general fund, special education fund, food service fund, debt service fund, and then this year at Mayville we have a community services fund. The district uses accounting software called Skyward. Skyward is specifically designed for schools, and everything that we do financially is monitored by the Department of Public Instruction. We report everything there, including annual budgets and annual reports to DPI. Just a quick overview of the fiscal year in review for 2018-19. We have a surplus, an increase in fund balance in the amount of $2,219.82, increasing the general fund balance to $3,774,000, roughly. The figures aren't finalized by the auditors in terms of these are absolutely final. At this point, we don't anticipate any changes. We have filed our annual reports. We just haven't gotten an audit report for them. So until we get that audit report and audit letter in hand, we refer to them as unaudited. And then there's just a note on there, when we talk about fund balance, it doesn't mean that we have that much money in the bank. It is our assets minus our liabilities equals our fund balance. So now getting into the 19-20 budget year, first some notes on the revenue limit worksheet. Our equalized valuations went up $69,391,252. The new valuation is $664,827,720. That increase is 11.65%. Part of it has to do with the city of Mayville TID. The city of Mayville's valuation went up 19.5%. The town of Lemire went up 13%, and then the other 5 municipalities only went up between 1% and 5%. With our current enrollment, our property valuations in 8 figures, the 2019-20 revenue limit is calculated at $10,883,387. Our July 1 equalization aid payment will be $6,795,724. That is an increase of just about 7%, $442,222 from this past year. The levies that we have right now, the general fund levy is $3,932,086. Fund 38 is $93,897. That is debt paying down some fiber technology projects and buildings and grounds renovations. And then Fund 39, the referendum approved debt, is calculated at $2,423,066. That is our debt schedule payments that we have in the next 12 months, plus $788,000 of defeasance funds to possibly pay down the referendum debt quicker. Then new this year we have Fund 80, which is community services. That levy is $38,827, and that is for the tutoring program that we have going Mill rate is estimated at $9.76. That's a 42-cent decrease from the 10.18 from last year. It's a 4.2% drop. The next slide. This is the past 3 years. It's really a summary of what was posted into the paper, and what you'll see later on. The column on the far right is the 17-18 audited. The numbers in the middle are this past year, the unaudited, and then the numbers on the far right are the 19-20 budget. Just a couple of highlights on there. In 2017-18, our fund balance decreased by $80,965. This current year, it went up $2,200, and the budget for next year, or this current school year, has a budget deficit of $136,904. It's a 3.63% decrease in fund balance. I'm looking at the revenues and other financing objects. Transfers in, we did not have any last year or this year. Those transfers in would be us taking indirect cost claims on our special ed flow-through grants. You have the option to take administrative costs on there. At this point, we've chosen not to take any of that and just keep the money in special education, and the time is just the time of the administrative team making that claim. So that's why there's nothing in there. Local sources, there's an $18,000 increase in local source funds. Inter-district payments is a $100,000 increase. That is an increase in open enrollment in dollars coming to the district. Intermediate sources, there's very little change there. State sources is up $435,000. That is the equalization aid increase. Federal sources, that's about the same. Those are the various grants that we take money, or we claim grant money for. And then all other sources, you can see a big jump there. That is our workers' comp dividend, but the reason of the jump is that we got $98,000 check in hand for a roof insurance claim on the roof at Parkview. And since we've already taken that money in, we recognize it on the financials as money in and then money out on the expense side. At the bottom, the expenses and other financing uses. Instruction, there's a $147,000 increase. Most of that is probably raises and any insurance. Our insurance itself did not go up, but we had more people open enroll in at that time, so the insurance in general went up. Support services, there's $424,000 increase there from last year. That would be the roof at the high school, and then a $100,000 commitment the board made back when the referendum was passed to kind of supplement the referendum money. And the non-program transactions is up $202,000. That is our special education transfer that Fund 10 has to cover, but the increase there is really increased money out for open enrollment out costs. So our total financing or expenses in 2019-20 are $13,812,900. And you can see above the revenue of $13,675,997. The difference is that decrease in fund balance of $136,904. The next slide just kind of goes over a quick overview of enrollment and head count. Our third Friday count in September, we had 1,065 as our membership. That is down 2% from last year where we had 1,098. 2 years ago, we had 1,108. And then looking further back, the number itself is actually on here at the bottom, the 1,189 in 2014. Since that year, we are down 10.4% in membership, or head count, I should say. The membership, that is our actual head count minus open enrollment in students plus our open enrolled out students, and that is at 1,033. That is the number that appears on our revenue limit worksheet. It is down from 1,054 last year and 1,057 from 2 years ago. And then the revenue limit membership has a 3-year rolling average that they use to calculate declining enrollment. That 3-year rolling average is at 1,059 this year. Last year was 1,069, and then 2 years ago was 1,089. So they're still recognizing a decline in enrollment on our revenue limit worksheet. The next page gives some open enrollment details. We have 96 students currently open enrolling in the general education area, 17 in special education. Last year we had 10 in special ed, so that is up. The general education was 97 last year, so that's basically steady. The biggest change on here is our general education students open enrolling out. Last year was at 76, this year it's at 99. The special education of 12 is pretty level from last year, we had 11. And then those two blurbs at the bottom, you can see we get $7,771 per general education student that open enrolls in, $12,723 for any student that open enrolls in special education. Same figures for any student that open enrolls out in either area. A very broad generalization on our revenues. We receive almost 80% of our revenue is from equalization aid and local taxes. It's 50% in aid and 28.75% in taxes. And then there's the other items that you can see on there that we have revenue sources. The next couple slides will get into more detail on some of the broader changes or the higher costs that we have. So notable budget revenue items. We have a reduction in Fund 10 tax levy of $404,811. It's a little over a 9% decrease. A projected reduction in net open enrollment revenue of $54,561. And that points out kind of that increase in general education students that are open enrolling out. We have an increase of equalization aid of approximately $442,000. It's about a 7% increase from last year. So that helps offset some of the money that we've lost in our Fund 10 tax levy. There's an estimated increase of $9,500 in federal grant utilization. Per pupil categorical aid, they increased the per pupil amount from $654 to $742 this year, and that results in an additional $91,000 of aid. On our 1,065 count membership, that's $790,230. The TID closeout that I've mentioned earlier, the funds for that are around $445,000. It's possible we actually get that money before the first of the year, but we definitely will receive it this fiscal year yet. And as I noted earlier, it did impact the city of Mayville valuation by 19.5%. Then the Parkview roof repair or replacement insurance proceeds over $98,000, so that is in the bottom line as $98,000 additional income. The net result of these and other minor changes, such as increased student fees, has Fund 10 district revenue total of $13,675,997. That's up around $634,256. I have a note on there, if you take out the one-time TID money in and that insurance proceeds, it's an increase of about $91,000, which is almost exactly what our per pupil increase is. So if we didn't have those one-time fund increases, our revenue is up 0.7%. So there's really not any much new money coming in that is sustainable. So that helps explain the budget deficit a little bit, because on the budget expense items, the budget has 2.44% of a CPI increase for staff wages. That's over $181,000 in wage increases. The health insurance, when combining premiums and HSA contributions of $111,500, actually resulted in a minimal budget impact. We got savings on the premiums by switching to the high deductible option, and then we ended up putting it back in with those $2,000 HSA payments for families and $1,000 for single plans. We have just over $70,000 for new textbooks. Most of that money is for the new math adoption that we had discussed this past spring. There's approximately $150,000 of buildings and grounds improvement and maintenance and athletic improvements in the 1920 budget. That's been a common practice for at least the 3 years that I've been here. And that's for larger planned out projects, not just emergency things that pop up. And then there's a one-time expense in there. The roof itself costs roughly $205,000. $50,000 of that is being paid for out of the $150,000. The other $173,000 would be additional cost. So that's why the roof is in at $173 is kind of an increase. And then there's the $100,000 board commitment to building costs. A commitment that was made at the time of the referendum being passed. And then the Parkview roof cost is also in there because that was known as of today, so we had to put it in there. So those aren't reoccurring expenses, but they did make a budget impact this year. There's a $28,000 increase on retiree HRA payments as a result of new retirees. The budget pre-funded HRA payments total $106,000 for current employees. So that's everybody that wasn't in tiers 1, 2, or 3 of our HRA plan at Mid-America. So that is really kind of viewed as a long-term asset. As an employee gains that money, if they were to leave the district, they forfeit that money and it can be used to either pay for an existing retiree's HRA plan, or it can be used to short pay on our next year's contributions. In the special ed area, there's been a minor increase of $21,000. That would be the Fund 10 transfer would have to cover, and that is after utilizing grant money in special ed programming. The net of all increases is $773,379 in Fund 10, and that's how we get to the 2019-20 budget reflecting a $136,902.93 deficit. We have worked quite a bit at looking at various options going all the way back to the spring as we started to gather more information. I do have a note at the bottom. We took in around $110,000 of transfer of service funds where we took in special education kids that we were able to kind of bill out to other districts. So that helped out the budget a little bit. We didn't have many students in this area, but you can also bill out other districts for special education students coming in if they require more needs. That's kind of where you get to the 12 to 30,000 where you can bill them out. If you get above that, then it starts to hit the transfer of service area. So we utilize that. We continue to try and maximize our grant funds, and then as opportunities present them, we look at strategic staffing plans. So that's some of the stuff we've done here to try to mitigate having a higher increased expense when the revenues basically stayed steady. The next slide will just cover on the other funds. Special education, the Fund 10 transfer is $1,166,317. It's $21,000 more than last year. Food service, changes to the food service program sets up the budget to have a surplus of roughly $8,100. They do have an existing fund balance of $1,162, so any surplus there would just go into the Fund 50 fund balance. The trust debt, that is the loans from a couple years ago, that'll get paid off in March of 2023. After this year, there'll be $266,937 remaining on that trust fund loan. The referendum debt, the levy is $2,423,066 with $21,270,000 remaining on the debt schedule as of June 30 of 2020. And the referendum debt is scheduled to be paid off in 2038. There is a note on there after, however, this year the levy has a $788,000 of additional levy for defeasance to accelerate the paydown schedule of this debt. And then I noted the impact of the referendum. Without the defeasance, it's 2.46 on the mill rate. With it in, it's $3.64. And then finally, the new fund, Fund 80, we have $38,827 levied to fund a community-wide tutoring program consisting of 2 teachers with partial FTEs in Fund 80, some supplies, and then some costs for high school interns to assist the program as needed. The next slide just gives you totals of the last 5 years, the total levies, and then the levy amounts by fund that we just discussed are on the right. And the next slide has the mill rate by year. It also has the state average mill rate by year. And that is it.
So, any questions at all? One of the things is we kind of moved through the packet quickly. So a lot of these artifacts are spoken to during the annual meeting, and I think that you covered a great deal of what's included in the packet other than the finances. You actually covered some other things as well as like head count enrollment, that kind of stuff. So if you have any questions at all regarding the budget hearing, now would be a great time to ask them. Otherwise, we are at 6:21 and we would formally start to move into the official annual meeting.
I think Baxter covered a lot more time since we've got a much different type of presentation and stuff.
A lot more time?
A lot more time.
Okay,
So
sure, we
from
can
6
do
to 6:30.
Yep, okay.
We're more in depth now, which is
Yeah,
good.
sounds good. I agree with that.
Thanks, Ryan. So let's call this annual meeting to order. At this time, I'm going to just introduce all of our board members. And so I'm John Westfall. I represent Zone 1 from the north. Expiration term is 2021. Jim Congdon, Zone 3, represents the south. His expiration term is 2021. Joe Holman is Zone 4 City, and his expiration term is 2020. Jennifer Fink is Zone 4 City. 2020 is her expiration term. Dick Fink is Zone 2 East, and his expiration term is 2020. Nord Dornfeld, Zone 4 City, his expiration term is 2022. Tatiana Shirazaki is Zone 4, and her expiration term is 2020. And I would like to introduce Scott Sable as our superintendent, and Patrick Madden will be our parliamentarian tonight.
Thank you.
So I will turn it over to him at this point.
Okay, normally we read the protocol for the annual meeting with Mayville Public Schools. It's a long document, so bear with me. This is the annual meeting of the school district of Mayville. It is necessary for everyone to understand that only citizens that live in the school district of Mayville are eligible to engage in debate, voting, or other parliamentary procedures at the annual meeting. The agenda or orders of the day will be in the same order as published for the annual meeting. That's County time here. Before any comments, questions, or debate can be raised on an item of business, item of business must first be put onto the floor in the form of a formal motion. Formal motions begin with one of two formal concursory phrases. Those phrases begin, I move to, or I move that. Examples include, I move to approve the minutes of the 2018 annual meeting as published, or I move that the minutes of the 2018 annual meeting be approved as published. All main motions require a second, and many incidental motions do not. When you make a motion, you identify yourself to the clerk by name and address. Other classes of motion require a second or have salient points that need to be addressed will be brought to the attention of the chairman by the acting parliamentarian. As for decorum and debate, you have to address all of your remarks through the chair. Mr. Westfall, the member that makes the motion has the right to debate that motion first. You should avoid using members' names. Debate or questions must be germane, pertain to the item of business on the floor, unless Robert's Rules of Order indicates differently. should refrain from attacking a member's motives or disturbing the assembly. Debate is limited to 2 debates per person.